Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Diaries of a Working Couple. I'm Jamie.
And I'm Chris.
And when dogs rub themselves on the furniture after a bath, that's because they lost their scent, or they think they lost their scent, so they're trying to get their scent back.
You said dogs?
Dogs. Yeah.
I swear you said ducks. Like,
Dogs.
I'm going to have to listen to that back.
Okay, y'all, if it sounded like dogs, if it sounded like ducks, I meant dogs. It is dogs.
Okay. Wow. We'll see.
Dogs.
I'm very curious to hear that
Four-legged
back.
friendos.
Yeah. Lava does that all the time.
Yeah, we actually had to give Lava a bath last night, and as soon as we took her out of the bath, I dried her off, and I put her down on the ground, and she went batshit.
She loves to poop on herself.
I wasn't going to go there. I think she's lactose intolerant, so every time I give her something that has cheese in it or on it, it just doesn't go well for her.
Yeah. The poor anal glands.
Poor Papa. But we gave her a bath, and then she was running around like a bat out of hell. And she was like underneath the bed for a while, just kind of running and rubbing herself against the, what's it called? The posts. I'm pretty sure she ran into one at one point. And then once she was back up on the bed, she was doing the same thing. And dogs do that because when they bathe, they don't smell like themselves, and they want to smell like themselves again.
She was going quite wild last
She was.
night.
But yeah.
So, we had Jake's chicken.
We did have Jake's chicken, and I need to preface this by saying I fucked up.
Did you? I don't know. I thought it tasted pretty good.
It did taste good. It did taste good. Jake, I'm sorry, I didn't read instructions correctly. There was like a spice mixture that you put on top of the chicken and then coated it with breadcrumbs. I put the breadcrumbs in the spice mixture, and that's what I put on top of the chicken. It was still delicious. However, I did mess up. So
it tasted pretty darn good.
It was good. It was good. And I did, so when Jake sent me this email, he said, just giving you a heads up, I always eyeball the spices. So everything I'm putting in here is just a guesstimate. So that's what I did. I'd used all the same spices, only I guesstimated like 1 part to 2 parts to 3 parts, depending on what the recipe called for.
So it was a little sweet. I didn't expect that, because I asked you if there was brown sugar in there, because that's kind of what I thought was in there, and it wasn't. It was just spices.
It was mayo, spices, and breadcrumbs. And none of that is sweet.
Well, my palate is terrible, by the way, but I don't know. I really liked it.
It was good.
That in combination with the pasta, too.
Yes, we did the pastaroni angel hair with garlic and Parmesan, I think it was. That's what we always had as a side growing up. Like that, the angel hair was a go-to for us.
Yeah.
And then I did the Brussels sprouts. So when you do the Brussels sprouts, for anyone who wants to try it, I know Lucia says she does not like Brussels sprouts, which I totally understand. But you have to get the fresh, like steam-in bag ones, not the frozen ones. You cut off the ends, cut them in halves or quarters, depending on how big they are. You toss it with seasoning, oil, and minced garlic.
Yeah.
And then after you toss it with the minced garlic, you air fry it, and then I think I did it for like 10 minutes, and then I pulled it out, put some Parmesan cheese on top to melt it, mixed it up, threw it back in for another couple.
Put a quarter bottle of Parmesan cheese on it.
No. It was only an eighth. Thank you.
So we're actually going to cut the banter a little bit short. We're going to try something new here. We're going to call in Barry, my brother, and his girlfriend, Cydney.
And Juno.
We're going to call them in because, this is our wedding episode part 2. And Barry was best man at the wedding. He was
best man. Cydney was also there.
And Cydney was also there. So we're going to call them in and see what their thoughts on the whole wedding was. Give me 1 second here. This is our first time ever trying to have caller audio.
Yeah, this is the first time trying to figure out how to do the calling. I know Chris and I tested it out earlier, so we'll see what happens. Oh, it's ringing.
Oh my gosh.
It's ringing.
Hello.
Hello.
Yo.
You are currently being recorded for Diaries of a Working Couple.
Ah, very good. We like that podcast.
Yeah, we can hear you pretty well. Is Cydney there as well?
Hello, I'm here. I'm very excited to be a part of your podcast.
Is it easy to hear us?
Yeah.
It's not bad, yeah. It's not bad.
Nice.
The volume's like a little over half. Hear you pretty clear.
Nice.
Perfect. Yeah, we're doing a little test here. This is our first time calling anybody. You are the first voices to appear on the podcast, except for our own.
We are just flattered to be
We
involved.
are just truly honored.
Yeah, so...
Juno is also.
Oh, man, Juno's in the car, too.
Yeah. Juno is the second dog to be on this podcast. The first guest dog to be on this podcast.
Is Juno's head out the window?
No, we just filled her tummy up with some Chick-fil-A nuts. So she's probably taking a nap now.
Oh.
Juno.
No, Juju. Jubilee.
So this
We're doing
episode
like
is actually a part 2. We just recorded a little bit ago our part 1 to planning our wedding. So we were calling you guys because Barry, you were in the wedding. Cydney, you were at the wedding. And we just want to hear your thoughts about the wedding in general.
Good, bad, and ugly. We'll hear them all.
Yeah, that's a great topic. We talk about it a lot. It's probably the most fun wedding we've ever been to. I'll say we probably changed that hotel forever.
Yeah, we didn't even talk about the hotel.
We haven't gotten to the rehearsal dinner. Don't fret.
Yeah, but I don't think they've ever had a disc take out a light before.
Yeah, when you're throwing, discs down the hallway and fist bumping the ceiling, standing on top of a baggage cart, I mean, what else?
I'm trying to... Who was the one who had the... Wasn't someone hoarding the luggage carts?
It was Cyrus.
Was it Cyrus?
Cyrus's room is where the party happened.
That I knew.
And I think Barry was the one standing on top of the luggage carts. I don't really know because I have poor memory of that night.
Yeah, I heard you have poor memory of that night and you somehow found your way to Barry's room. Barry, can you confirm?
Yeah. Yeah, he showed up at, like 4 in the morning, and we had the AC cranked down to like 62 degrees, and he slept underneath like my suit jacket on the couch.
Yeah, I remember that. You didn't have any blankets, so I had your suit jacket and like a bathroom towel.
Yep.
Yeah, I think I gave you the towel. I felt bad.
Yeah, I blame that whole situation. I blame it on Cyrus. For some reason, he locked me out. It may or may not have been because I ran out of the room for unknown reasons. But he should have kept the door open.
Yeah, that's not a very good friend.
That's why he wasn't the best man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah. So last time we talked, we were talking about how we had the groomsmen buy their suits. And I was wondering, did you get any use out of that suit after our wedding?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, so I've worn it to every wedding that I've not been in since. Or to Lauren and Anthony's wedding. Yeah.
Nice. So it was worth the investment.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And it wasn't even that expensive to start with.
Yeah.
I've been just so ripped off from wedding suits.
I was going to say, so you've been in a lot of weddings recently as well. Generally, what's it cost to rent a suit for you?
I think it's usually like 160 to like 220 bucks.
Yeah, that's almost the exact range that I gave when me and Jamie were talking about it. I said like 180 to 220. And then usually they're kind of dicks on the return date too.
Exactly. And you know, when you have a Sunday wedding, they want it back like Monday by 4 p.m. It's like, who doesn't have a job to go to? It's crazy.
Yeah.
I remember at Ryan's wedding, they were leaving for their honeymoon like really early the next day. So I got up and had to get, I told Ryan I would take a suit in. So I went and made sure we got everything like together so Chris could take that back when he took his suit.
Yeah, that's right. No, you know, Ryan wasn't in the great condition that he typically is on the day after his wedding.
Oh, great. Strange.
So Cydney had a seat in the audience during our wedding ceremony,
She did.
and unfortunately, we said that it rained during our wedding ceremony, so we were all seated inside, which was our alternate plan. Cydney, you want to talk about a little bit of how you thought the ceremony went?
Oh man, I thought it was beautiful. You know, being inside, it was great. You had the musicians going. That was awesome.
The waves in the background.
The waves, oh man, yeah, that view was sick. You know, I love all the groomsmen just skipping or whatever. The aisle, I don't know what you call it.
It's an aisle.
Yeah, did you see your boyfriend's hair flowing in the wind?
Oh yeah, he was the first one. That was a great moment. And then obviously seeing the bride come down.
Obviously.
Yeah,
Most important part.
star of the show.
Yeah. I keep trying to tell Chris it was my day, not our day.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, people aren't looking at me, you know, at the end of the aisle. They're looking at you coming down.
Yeah, not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all.
Nope. I'm the star.
I was picking my nose the whole time, but nobody noticed.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Definitely one of our favorites.
One notable event that Barry may have witnessed. I don't know. I guess Cydney wasn't there, but do you remember Dad eating shit down the stairs?
Yep. That 4-inch stair really got him.
That single step.
Yeah, that single half step had him crashing into a bunch of people's legs.
Yeah, we were really talking about planning the wedding, and I guess we should do an episode on how the actual wedding went.
Oh,
But
we will. Don't fret.
But man, that was definitely a notable event. You can even witness my face in some of the pictures after that event. That I was, my smile was a little more
You can
forced.
tell his smile does not reach his eyes. His eyes say, "I'm going to kill these people," but his smile says, "Nope, it's okay."
Yeah. I thought that was going to be a hospital trip there.
I thought the chairlift was going to be a hospital trip. When everyone picked Chris up on the chair.
Yep.
Oh, that was great. Yeah, I think that was my idea.
I don't know whose idea it was, but I know Jake literally saw it happen and he like turned and walked away. He's like, "Nope, I did not see this. I am not a part of this."
We could have used a little more support on Ryan's corner of the chair.
Oh,
Yeah.
you noticed.
Yeah. Don't have that guy lifting your chair. North Wildwood Ryan.
Yeah, he's from Jersey.
All right, so we're
How
gonna.
about the slideshow?
What was
At
that?
the reception, at the I said, how about the slideshow at the rehearsal dinner and the audio problem?
Oh man.
Oh, stop.
You know, sometimes Mom listens to this, and she's gonna hear you bringing that up, and you know what we're gonna say about that?
Traumatized.
We're gonna say that Cyrus messed it up.
That's what I keep hearing. Don't worry, my mom listens to this podcast, and we can talk about her doing the what was it, the Jaeger shots?
The
Whatever.
Jaeger bomb.
Jaeger bombs.
Before we left, but yeah, no. Mom claims that, you know, every file that she handed out at that presentation, the audio was perfectly synced, and Cyrus screwed it up. So Cyrus is gonna have to live with that.
I believe it. Yeah.
It tracks.
Oh well.
Yeah. Did you participate in the Jaeger bomb shots at the end?
I don't know.
I think I was at the rehearsal dinner or at the actual wedding.
This
No.
is the rehearsal dinner.
I don't recall doing that.
I think Ryan was the one who convinced my mom, but he was also talking to Deacon Mark. So I don't know. Did Mark end up doing one?
I have no idea. I know I did one. Ryan did one. Jason might have did one, which is crazy. That's a little past his drink limit.
That doesn't sound like Jason.
Yeah. But I know your mom did one, and that was, one of the more proud moments of son-in-law. Well, you guys enjoy your trip to West Virginia. We're gonna go and jump into more of our topics here, but we appreciate you answering the phone and talking to us for a little bit.
Yeah, thanks for not sending us to voicemail.
No problem. Thanks, guys. Enjoy your night.
Do you have anything that you want to say to the 5 to 11 fans that we have?
I'm just honored to be part of this when it's 5 to 11 fans. When it's 5 to 11 million, it'll be just great.
All right, awesome. Well, we'll talk to you guys later.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Thank you. Bye.
Alrighty.
Oh, Barry.
Well, that was quite interesting. Yeah, the audio in his truck isn't super great. But I'm gonna see if I can tweak it in post, as they say.
As those in the business
As
say.
those in the business say. But I really have no idea what I'm doing, so probably can't fix that.
You never know.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out.
All right, so I think it's time to hop back into this list of items
back
here.
in. All right. Well, while he's grabbing that, I'm gonna let you guys know. I believe Chris is drinking a Jack and Coke.
I am not. Ooh, mystery. I'm a mystery guy.
It's Coke.
It's Coke. Yeah, it is Bacardi, which is rum.
I was gonna say rum and Coke. That was my
I was
next
gonna say,
guess.
so if you listen to the last episode, I was feeling a little tipsy at the end of that episode, and then we ate dinner, and I took a shower while Jamie was cooking dinner, and then now I'm drinking more. So this ought to be fun.
It's gonna be a great time. I just have wine.
What kind of wine?
It is a rosé from Hidden Hills Winery, which was that's where one of the bridal showers I went to was. And they bought a bunch of bottles of wine, and I took home one of the half-drank bottles of wine because they're like, either you guys take it or we're trashing it. And so, like, I know the bride's mom, we all took home a bunch of different bottles. So I have like a half-drink bottle in the fridge, and I was like, I should break this out.
That would be such a waste. Who would just throw it out?
Exactly.
Just not
All
cool.
right. What's on the list?
All right, so we covered last were the gifts.
Yes.
So then it comes down to the vendors now. So florist, musician and DJs, photographer, videographer, cake.
Florist I got from a recommendation from my cousin, and they were phenomenal. She was very sparse with communication, but at the same time, you didn't really need to talk much about flowers. Once you had everything set, it was kind of like, okay, we're good.
I feel like a lot of reviews or good opinions on wedding vendors come from word of mouth.
Absolutely.
Especially from family members in the area and stuff who have gotten married within, a recent time. And like Facebook groups are big too in the wedding industry.
Yeah, Facebook groups are really big, but at least for our florist, she was the one who I think did. So I know she did Shannon's wedding. I don't know if she did Devin's wedding or not, but I know she did Shannon's, and they said she was really good. She was very cost conscious. When we were originally going to get married outside, we were going to have a big garland for around the gazebo. When it got moved inside, they had an archway that they put the flowers over instead. But then when she was talking, she's like, well, we're going to need like little decorations for the tables. Do you want to just reuse the garland? We can cut it into pieces and use it to decorate the tables. Like the dessert table, the cake table, all that kind of stuff. And I was like, absolutely. Like, if you guys can like redo that. So she was very, very good at being cost conscious. She was very on time. She was phenomenal. I really like stargazer lilies, which are the ones that open up. Think like Tangled flower, the flower from Tangled.
Oh yeah, I'm a huge fan.
Listen, for anyone who wasn't at the wedding, so they can picture it, but I had it in like a light blush pink, and I wanted a big cascading bouquet. So instead of just like the round, it like kind of flowed over my hands, and it was just like lots of flowers. And she hit it right on the head. All of the girls had the most beautiful bouquets. I told her, I was like, I'm not super particular about flowers other than the lily, but I like open flowers. And I told her, I was like, it's hard to explain. I like flowers that almost seem like they're reaching out. I don't want like ones that are like closed in, like roses. If they aren't fully in bloom and out, if they're kind of still like closed up, I don't like that. I don't like tulips and everything that are closed. I like things that are open and it seems like their petals are reaching out. And she just took that and ran with it, and it was absolutely beautiful.
Wow. I just have nothing to add in the florist department.
How are your boutonnieres? Did anyone get stabbed?
No, I think we were okay. I'm trying to think of who put them on us.
Probably Deb.
Probably Deb.
Because I know our bouquets were at the...
Deb was our wedding coordinator.
Deb was our day of coordinator.
Or yeah, but she was like supplied by the venue.
She was phenomenal.
Because
I love Deb.
I feel like on this list they also say to hire a wedding coordinator. But
no,
we
don't
didn't
do
need
it.
That.
Don't do it. If you're a planner, don't do it. If you're super hyper busy, that's fine. But if you're, I didn't think we needed that. That and a wedding planner, I didn't feel like we needed. But I'm also very much a controlling. I don't want to say I'm a controlling person, but I like being in control of big things like this and knowing what's going on. So I didn't want to put that in someone else's hands.
Okay, so the next one after florist is musicians and DJs.
We had a DJ. I think... So when we picked out a bunch of our vendors, we went to a vendor open house at our venue.
Yep.
And that's where we found our DJ.
Don and Sue.
They are phenomenal. Don was the DJ essentially, and Sue was the MC. Holy cow, that was fun.
They know how to run a party. And then for sure.
We were also at Ryan's wedding. They had a string quartet or a trio or something at the beginning while everyone was walking in. They had that during cocktail hour, and that was one of the very few things Chris showed an interest in. He's like, yeah, I really liked it that they did that at Ryan's wedding. I was like, we're adding it in. I learned that if Chris has any input when it comes to the day, we're just going to add it in because he doesn't care 98% of the time.
The string quartet was cool.
It was really cool.
Yeah, just another shout out to the DJs though. They like made the party. Like Sue just keeps everybody on the dance floor. She's like handing out toys and everything to people. Oh my gosh,
they had light up. It was like almost like baton, like not batons. I don't even know what to call them.
I know they had the
tambourines
and stuff, and like
it was a party.
They're the only vendors from our wedding that I follow on Facebook, and it's just like every wedding that they're at, it just looks like an awesome party.
They are the party people.
Faux show. Photographer.
I think I don't even remember how I found Megan. Megan's our photographer. I think she was on the venue's recommended vendor list.
She shot Kurtz's before.
She's shot Kurtz's before. I think that's how I found her.
Yeah.
And I was looking through all the other vendors, and I really, really liked her. I looked at all the other photographers they had, and I didn't like their style as much. It was all a lot more like moody and dramatic, and I didn't want moody and dramatic. I wanted like brighter, like fun. We're not moody and dramatic people usually. So She was the one I reached out to her, and she's so sweet. So she does a lot of destination weddings as well. She travels a lot. But I found her when I was looking through. I like reached out to her in 2019. She responded, and we started like in-depth communicating in 2020. But because I reached out in 2019, she gave me the 2019 pricing, which was
2020
phenomenal.
pricing was probably more expensive because of COVID in the first place, and then generally inflation.
Yeah. So, but she was phenomenal. I follow her on Instagram. She takes some of the most beautiful pictures. She did our engagement shoot. She did the boudoir shoot. She did our wedding, and like it's phenomenal. And her second hand there, Jenny was great as well. They're just so much fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like, any type of wedding vendor is just like their job is just surrounded by happiness, right? I mean, that's like the best time of people's lives, and they get to experience that every day.
That's fair.
Right? So
that's fair.
It's probably very I don't know.
Rewarding, enjoyable.
Yeah. Perfect.
All right.
That's exactly how I'd describe it. Videographer.
Pause. I gotta go potty.
Oh.
I'm sorry. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Chris will pause.
He'll
talk about the videographer.
I'm not going to pause. I'm going to talk about wedding cakes because we tested so many samples, but we only went to I think 3 places, right?
So we went to, I think 4 or 5.
Okay, 4 or 5 different bakeries, but we did this all within a weekend. So some of the bakeries were giving us samples of up to probably 10 different cake flavors and icing flavors combinations. So usually they give you one for the groom, one for the bride. So we get 20 samples per bakery, and we went to 4 or 5. Most of them were take-home samples because of COVID. I know that one of them was an in-person seating where we did taste testing on the cakes, and it was me, Jamie, and I think Jake went with us for that one. And by the end of that weekend, I was so sick of tasting wedding cakes. I think at the end of the weekend, I feel like I was probably not even judging the bakery that we were tasting at the end correctly, because you taste so many cakes that it just gets overwhelming, and it's just not it's just it sounds like it would be amazing, but it's just way too much cake. Or maybe I'm getting old or something, but that was a lot of cake. And before we leave our vendors, I'll probably have to wait for Jamie to come back to talk about our videographer. I was kind of against a videographer at first. I just thought that it wasn't worth the additional money, even though our videographer didn't cost that much. The videographer that we went with, he was kind of starting his own gig, just for we were probably one of his first clients or something.
We weren't one of his first. We were earlier on. He was just getting into the videographer.
Yeah, he was still trying to
videographer.
He was still trying to establish himself.
Yes, he was, but he was phenomenal.
He was awesome. So one, he made a awesome highlight reel.
Yes, he made us 2 really good highlight reels.
So yeah, I was going to mention that. So he made us an awesome highlight reel, and then he gave us a full, somewhat unedited version of the full ceremony, which is something that we requested on top of the highlight video because we wanted to have the full ceremony documented.
He got us, because it was ceremony,
And the speeches.
speeches, and first dance.
Okay. Yeah, so that was like the additional stuff that we added onto the package. But then, we got the highlight reel and we thought it was so good that we asked him if he could just give us the raw footage for everything that he filmed at the reception. And I guess he thought that it would be better to give us like a somewhat edited second version of a highlight reel that included all that extra footage, and it just used the same song from our original highlight reel. And even that one is like super good. Like
my
that
gosh.
one could have been the original highlight reel.
Yeah.
With a few key scenes missing or whatever, but like, both of them were awesome, and his price was not bad at all for what we got.
He was phenomenal. I would highly recommend him to anyone who asked. And we actually found him. Lena came over one day, my maid of honor, and we just sat down. I was like, I want a videographer. And we just sat down and started searching different places and trying to look up videos and everything. And she found him, and it was great. And he even brought his sister in as like a second hand with videos and everything. So.
Do you remember his name?
Yeah, John. John from Mid-80s Media.
Nice. Good shout out.
Absolutely. He was phenomenal. And I think he said he was trying to get his sister as like a second person to help out with everything. His sister's name is April. So.
Wow, you got a great memory, because like I can't remember this stuff. Except I remember Don and Sue.
Let me tell you, that's because you follow them on Instagram.
Yeah, exactly.
Also, Don and Sue are Dance Master DJs and entertainment.
If we make a reel
and then
from this episode, we're totally going to cut together all the Don and Sue mentions, and then I'll tag them.
Oh my God. I love Don and Sue. Literally, even now, we were talking about it last weekend. I was hanging out with my cousins, and the one's getting married in December. And she's like, yeah, like my DJ is like one of Shannon's coworkers. And I was like, what? You didn't want Don and Sue just pulling everyone on the dance floor?
Yeah.
And she was like, oh no, we love Don and Sue. So.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, also our photographer was Megan. She's Megan Elise Photography, but her name's Megan Miller. Elise is Alysse. But please go follow her because her photos are phenomenal. Like, I want them as a background just to my life.
So I talked about wedding cakes like while you were in the bathroom, and really all I had to say was that we tasted a ton of samples from like 4 or 5 different bakeries, and by the end of the weekend I can't tell if I was actually judging them accurately or if I was just getting sick of wedding cake.
Yep. Well, so I don't know if you mentioned this. We did blue crab. I
didn't know specific names.
We did blue crab.
Which
we did
one's
Miss
the
Fields.
one that we sat in the place with Jake?
I don't remember, but we got my mom got one from somewhere else.
I feel like the one with Jake, was that the one where they gave us the cake
they
with no icing?
They literally
and
gave us cupcakes of the different flavored cakes cut in quarters, and then they gave us styrofoam cups filled with icing and said, go ahead and mix and match.
I mean, that's not a bad way of doing it, right?
It's not. It just threw us off because everywhere else that we went, it was all either pre-made cupcakes, or the place we ended up going with, it was a pre-made. It was almost like they'd already made the cake and just cut it up into itty bitty pieces.
Yeah.
And
I feel like where we went, it was just like they gave us like 20 samples, like 10 different combinations, and then they gave us 2 of each or whatever.
Yeah, they gave us a lot. Same with blue crab. They gave us a bunch.
Who did we actually go with though?
It was Bakery Express.
Okay. And their price was awesome compared to everybody
phenomenal.
else's prices. Their cake was great. And they gave us a first-year anniversary cake for free.
So. And another thing, side note that not everyone tells you, you have a cake for cutting, You don't have to have your fancy cake does not have to be the one that feeds everyone. We did like a 3-tier. I think we did a 3-tier fancy cake just for like everyone to see that we could cut into and everything. Save the top layer, yada yada. But then everything else, because we had a good number of people there, we just had them do a sheet cake.
Yep.
And that helped feed, or like that way everyone else could have cake. And we weren't paying an arm and a leg for them to do all the fancy decorations.
That's the way to go.
Highly recommend.
I forget who I was just talking to. Maybe it was Harshal. I was talking about wedding cakes, and I was like, just do a sheet cake, man. It's
Honestly,
awesome.
you have one to cut into so you can smash each other's face into the cake. And then other than that, like it literally has to be 1, maybe 2 tiers, and you can make it yourself.
So funny that I thought that was Harshal. There was no way I was talking to Harshal about this. There was
Harshal?
who was Derek? Is that who I was sitting next to?
Yeah.
Okay.
Paul's husband.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
Derek.
who I was talking to about the sheet cake, because we were talking about wedding cakes at the wedding, and
They probably did a full fancy cake.
I think they did. Yeah. And
Knowing Paul, they did a full fancy cake.
yeah, and I was like, yeah, we did like a fancy cake that was like a little smaller, and then we had like a half sheet of cake that, yeah. Anyway.
All right. After the cake.
We are out of vendors for now,
For now.
according to this sheet.
I was going to say, for us, we were very lucky. A lot of places have like tent vendors or for...
Oh, well, catering.
Catering was included.
Catering was included. Any of the napkins and stuff. Like
that was included. The tables and chairs. We didn't have to rent anything. That was all included.
Yeah, we got a lot of stuff with our venue. So we didn't have to worry about any of that. Let's skip to the rehearsal dinner. The rehearsal dinner we didn't do any planning for.
We
was
did
nice.
not. Your mom did all the planning for that, which I'm so grateful for, because that was just, one thing I didn't have to worry about.
Yep. So my mom planned out a dinner at what was the
Olive Grove.
Olive Grove. Had like a private room, open bar, had a very nice steak meal. Well, I had a steak meal.
You had a steak.
I think a lot of people had crab cakes.
A lot of people had the crab cakes because we're in Maryland and went in Maryland.
Yep, and the crab cakes are supposedly very good there.
They were delightful.
And my mom, like we mentioned with Barry, made a very nice present. Or it's like a video with
like a slideshow kind of thing with pics of both of us growing up.
Yeah, it was like pictures of us growing up. And up until now, when we were together, they had pictures of us together, and it had a bunch of music that went with each, like, kind of scene of our life, like growing up versus us together. And it was very nice. Cyrus messed it up. Cyrus. Yeah, there was some, like, audio issue when we eventually got it up on the projector. But other than that, it went really, really well. It was nice to have some time with like Mo and Pop were there, and your grandparents were there.
My grandparents, your grandparents,
and a few other select family members that were part of the wedding.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Because Uncle Jim was there because Kylie was reading.
And Uncle Jim did a prayer before the dinner, right?
And he did the prayer before the dinner.
So the rehearsal dinner was that on Thursday?
That was on Thursday. So the rehearsal was on Thursday because even though it was a Saturday wedding, they had a wedding on Friday.
That's right.
So we did the rehearsal on a Thursday afternoon. They actually had a prom coming in.
That's right.
That day.
Because I remember they were giving away TVs and stuff at this prom. Remember the gifts?
Yeah. Literally, you walked into the back where they were like had all the prizes and everything that they were raffling off. There were TVs and mini fridges and like.
I've never saw such rich items for high school kids in a raffle. But all right, that's totally unrelated. But yeah, those kids. What school was it?
Chesapeake.
Yeah, call them out. It's where all the tax money's going.
Was it Chesapeake or was it North River?
It's where all the tax money's going.
But you're not moving on from the rehearsal dinner yet, are you?
No. Why?
Okay, I just want to make sure. Because your mom made the lovely centerpieces. That was a whole fiasco in itself with the remotes and everything.
Oh, man, the centerpieces. Yeah, my mom took these She totally crafted these. It's kind of like a vase with some stones in the bottom, and then flowers with your colors.
Yep. So our colors were light blue and light pink, and so she found they're the roses. So
We keep
they're
turning around because they're actually in the library,
in the library
where we're
with us.
recording.
But they are light blue and white roses with a little bit of baby's breath. And then she wrapped the stems in like twinkle lights that you could change to different colors and everything. And it was absolutely beautiful. But because for some reason the remote she had for the lights didn't match up.
No, so they sell the lights, and I think it's like she gets like 3 sets of lights with one remote. So, she bought however many she needed for the centerpieces. But then, now she only has 1/3 the amount of remotes that she would need to hand them out as gifts if she wanted to give away the centerpieces. She reached out to the company, and they said that they do not sell the remotes individually. So then you're kind of stuck where you can't hand out these centerpieces where you can't control the lights. We're looking into ways to reverse engineer the remotes. I work on remote controls for a living, so I feel like we could figure it out. But
yeah, I just wanted to give your mom a shout out to the centerpiece.
Centerpieces are great. Do you have a remote for that one?
I do. It is. I think it's behind the picture frame right there.
Got it. Yeah.
I do have it, and I keep it close by so I don't lose it because we all know how I am with things.
If you lose it.
Exactly. Exactly, which is why I keep it right next to the flowers.
Yeah. So that was a rehearsal dinner, and it worked out. Your mom did the Jaeger bomb shot.
I could have sworn I thought Mark did one.
Mom.
I thought Mark did one too. Deacon Mark knows how to party.
Yeah. So then, they say things like finalizing the guest list. We already went over that. 2 big things. Purchase the wedding rings. So for me, I went with a very special.
Very sentimental.
Very sentimental. $6 Amazon stainless steel black ring. And I believe it's like an 8.5 millimeter one or something. I don't actually know.
I just have to say, Chris bought it in his current size.
Okay, hold on. Yeah, I was getting there.
Okay.
See, I was going to say, I'm not going to stay the same size forever. We all know this. You guys hear every time we record that I'm drinking another Jack and Coke. So you know that I'm going to blow up at some point in life. So not only did I order my current size for this $6 ring, but I also ordered a half size above, and then a full size above, and then 2 full sizes above, and then even 3 full sizes above. Just in case I weigh about 600 pounds later in life.
I don't know how much weight he plans on gaining, but 3 full ring sizes is a lot.
It's just to be prepared. You never know what's going to happen. But I was just having a conversation with Derek at this last wedding we were at last weekend, or 2 weekends ago. But he went out and bought a very fancy wedding ring, or not super fancy, but it's like gold and more,
it's high quality,
more expensive. Yeah. And then he was out working on his car, and then he noticed that he scratched it, and it's like, with my $10 stainless steel ring, one, I didn't go tungsten because tungsten's very hard and they don't know if you can cut that off at the hospital. So if I were to ever break my fingy, then they can...
Your poor little keyboard fingy.
They can cut off this stainless steel ring if they need to. But yeah, that was my wedding ring experience. And what about you, ma'am?
My wedding ring experience. So Chris got my engagement ring from a diamond company in Philadelphia.
AKA Philadelphia Diamond Company.
Yes, that exact one. How did you guess?
Shout out to Ken.
Yes, Ken really helped us out. So when Chris and I went back after we got engaged so they could like clean the ring and everything and make sure all the stones were set properly. Then after that, we were supposed to go meet up with him for like to look at wedding rings. But like we texted him and we called him and he wasn't answering. He like got his dates mixed up or whatever.
I thought something happened with his dad
Something
or something.
or his wife or something. I don't know. Something happened. We ended up having to reschedule. So I ended up going instead the next day with my mom because my mom came up to visit. So, and Chris had to work. So my mom and I went to Philly and we were looking at rings, and the engagement ring I have kind of has like twists on the side or like crisscrosses on the side that go halfway around. And I decided for my wedding ring, I wanted the crisscrosses to go all the way around just in like a band.
Yeah, so the engagement ring and the wedding ring of that style only go halfway around the ring. So the ring that you got is actually two of the wedding rings fused together, just of the twirly parts.
Something like that.
Yeah.
But I wanted it to go all the way around.
It's a special order.
And he said, okay, we can do it. And it was definitely, it was even more of a special order because with the length of each twist or crossover, whatever you want to call it, it's like a full ring size. And I think I'm a half or whatever. So they had to try and figure out a way to properly engineer it so it wasn't like a random half twist somewhere in there.
Yeah. Well, Ken at Philadelphia Diamond Company, they do a lot of custom designs there too. I saw they have some CAD models of some rings, and they'll do some custom things if you need it. So I definitely appreciate him and him helping me out through my time of buying an engagement ring, which is stressful as a young lad.
As a young lad.
Yeah.
But no, I got my wedding band. And I'm very happy with it. And I get compliments all the time on the set and my necklace.
I'm good at buying jewelry is what I'm hearing from the other side of the room.
That is correct.
All right. And then we come to planning the honeymoon, which was the only thing that really fell on my responsibility.
Y'all, I gave Chris one job. I was like, you are doing the honeymoon. That's what I'm tasking you with. I told him this when we started planning the wedding. He did not have the honeymoon planned until the April before we got married. We got married in May.
Okay, guys. Let me just say that I had this fully under control. So I was looking into a lot of options. It was COVID at the time, which caused a lot of complications because we were pretty much in the middle of COVID. I know that Maryland in particular was actually starting to let up their rules a little bit on masks when we got married. But, other countries were pretty strictly on lockdown still. So it was definitely hard to plan a honeymoon. I was looking at a bunch of different options. We were looking at Cancun and like secrets there, and there were definitely some cheaper options, but I want to spend a little bit extra to make it special.
And he did.
So we ended up going to Montego Bay, Sandals, Jamaica, which you might have heard about in The Office.
Yes, that exact one.
But yeah, it was amazing. Flights are not very long at all. I forget how long our flights were, but I feel like they were less than 3 hours. We're pretty close to 3 hours.
Did we have a layover? Or was it direct? Because we flew from Baltimore. I feel like it was direct. I feel like it was direct.
Yeah, I probably went direct flights. I hate layovers.
Well, because I remember there was no direct from Philly.
Yeah, I hate layovers. And I don't know. Like, I probably just spent the money to do direct because... remember our flights got canceled, right? I had to fight with them about that.
That's okay. So he booked the flights through Sandals.
Yeah, so when you go through Sandals' website to book a vacation, they also offer to handle all your flights and stuff, which I was like, oh, this is convenient, one-stop shop. I compared the Google Flights prices to their prices. They were the same exact thing, so I was like, might as well just hit it all in one shot. Well, then the situation occurred where our flights got canceled and they changed the dates of the flights, and it no longer matched with the vacation.
Like, we were going to have to do, like, an overnight layover somewhere, and we wouldn't get to Jamaica till the next day.
Yeah, we were going to, like, miss a day of the vacation, and I was not going to deal with that. So then I called Sandals, which then they told me I had to work it out directly with the airline. I called the airline, and then I told them, look, you're totally messing up my vacation, so I'm going to have to cancel flights with you totally and go to a different airline. They were like, that's fine. We canceled your flights. It's going to get credited back to your account. Well, Sandals made the reservation for the flights. So then I had to go back to Sandals and be like, look, they canceled it, which means they gave you your money, our money back. And then I had to get that. It was just terrible.
And of course, I don't want to say to make matters worse, but they switched us from like American or Delta to Spirit, which I feel like just trying to get...
it was the other way around. It was Spirit originally. We switched to American.
Well, I know we eventually switched to American, but I didn't think they booked us originally on Spirit. Or did they?
I think they did.
They did, and that's why the whole issue... Well, either way, we did not end up flying Spirit.
Anyway, yeah, it was a crap show for a little bit, but you know what? The honeymoon turned out awesome, and I highly recommend an all-inclusive type honeymoon because
Vacation period.
Yeah, for vacation it's nice, but after planning a wedding, having all the stress of trying to make the day go perfect, and then, you know, all of it's over, you just... Well, me personally, and I think that you came around to this idea, but you don't really feel like doing anything after that.
Yeah, so originally I wanted to do a honeymoon in like Italy or Spain, somewhere in Europe where we could sightsee. And Chris is like, listen, we are going to go through the most stressful period of our life up until this point because we're going to be planning and making sure the day goes well. We're not going to want to do anything. We're not going to want to backpack or trip anywhere. We're literally going to want to sit. He's like, he didn't say wait. He's like, I just want to sit on a beach with a drink in my hand. And I was like, I thought about it. I was like, that's a good point.
Yeah, seriously, like, just take a vacation, minimal stress, lots of free drinks, relax on the beach, rip in your bathing suit, exposing yourself to part of the beach. You know, we could talk about that at a later point in time, but I enjoyed myself at Sandals, Jamaica.
Almost too much. Almost.
Hold
on. I'm sorry. I forgot. There is one other vendor that I know that I thought about that we didn't talk about, and it was transportation.
Oh, that
because
is
transportation, it's if you have a lot of people coming in from out of town, I think it's important. If you have people that have difficulty getting from place A to B, or if you're having a ceremony in a different place than the reception and it's like immediately following, it would make sense to have transportation. Plus, if you're going to have an open bar, if it's going to be like a party, it's safer to have transportation. It's not a requirement. It's definitely not something you need if you're trying to save money. I've been to plenty of weddings that don't have transportation. We've been to weddings that we just don't use the transportation. However, that is just something to think about. I know ours, the woman I worked with was great. The people I worked with the night of the rehearsal dinner were great. I had the slowest driver on the day of the wedding, and I did not account for slow drivers, rain, and traffic. For additional drive time.
We also had some additional issues where the one driver didn't know where he was going at all.
We had multiple drivers, I feel like, that didn't know. We had one that tried to drop us off at so our venue had a wedding the morning of our wedding, and then we were the evening wedding. So he just took, and I told him, I was like, okay, we're going to the dressing cottage. He's like, okay. And he takes us to the venue itself while there's still a wedding going on. I'm like, no. So we had to get them to turn around, and he had to try and get us there. And then on the way home, one of the buses didn't know where they were going, and so luckily one of Chris's cousins was there and could pull up like Google Maps on his phone. Otherwise, like, Chris's grandparents would not have gotten home.
Yeah, that was the one bus where we sent all of the...
It was like the
people
early bird bus.
Yeah, the early bird bus that, mostly elderly that wanted to go back to the hotel because it was it's a tiring day. And, that is the bus that got lost and was on the road for an extra 45 minutes. It's just...
Yeah, so...
Not cool.
It was a lot. But, like, the people were so nice and everything. There was just one or two mishaps. Unfortunately, it was just a big, big part of the time.
Well, another thing is the hotel, too.
Ooh, the hotel was a mess.
On this list...
Not like a mess, but...
On this list that I'm reading, the venue isn't even on here.
We do need to talk about the venue.
But it's like, how... Man, who's using this to plan a wedding and they miss the venue?
That's why you have like 3 or 4 lists, because each list has something different on it.
Yeah, like getting a gift diary is like on your 10 to 12 months out, but not...
A gift diary?
Yeah.
I knew I was missing something when I planned our wedding.
But not where you're actually getting married. Oh, it says reserve a reception site. I guess. Okay.
All right, so let's start with the hotel.
Yeah.
We'll go venue.
Okay.
And then we'll go back to your list. And
I don't know. Yeah, I'm starting to lose. I'm starting to lose confidence in this list here.
So no, the hotel we stayed at.
Whoa.
Excuse me. The hotel we stayed at, it was a little messy. Not in terms of the hotel itself being messy, but kind of the organization.
Well, half the hotel was under construction, too.
Half the hotel was under construction, which we were not aware of. We were not told until we literally... Actually, I think when the boys went to go drop off the gift bags. Again, gift bags for the hotel.
Excuse me. My gosh. You're not even drinking anything that's carbonated
No, I'm not,
anymore.
but we just ate dinner. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm not better out than in.
So I think we'll talk about the hotel. We'll talk about the venue. We'll give some honorable mentions of things, but we can't talk about this forever.
Not with that attitude.
We could literally go probably another 2 episodes on this, but then we're gonna lose.
A lot of followers.
We're gonna lose like 2 of our
5. No, so the hotel was messy in terms of organization. We didn't know that half of it was under construction. We booked a room for the night before, so that way we would have a place to get ready during the day. I tried to say, hey, like, can we keep that room like for the next day? That way Chris and I had somewhere to stay and we didn't have to worry about doing a lot of moving. They said no. They ended up making us move rooms halfway through getting hair and makeup done, which was a whole mess. The bathrooms didn't come with hand soap, which was a mess. There were people trying to check in and the rooms just weren't clean early enough. Now, our wedding was at, 5 p.m., 6 p.m.? It was an evening wedding. Check-in, I think, was at like 2 or 3. And we had people coming down to check in, being told their rooms weren't ready. They like went and slept in their car for a bit and then came back.
One of our friends... got a call on his way down to the wedding stating that he did not have a hotel room. They overbooked. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
He showed up and he like was flipping out at the front desk person. Like, are you serious? Like, I just drove 2.5 hours and you're saying that I don't have a hotel? They ended up giving him a room. Who knows where they took it from, but yeah, it was pretty bad. The hotel situation was a mess.
It was a whole mess.
One of their lights were out in the hallway. It was such a shame.
Their one stairwell smelled really bad.
Yeah, I couldn't find a luggage cart.
Luggage carts are gone.
Luggage carts were somehow all stored in one person's room, and there was a bunch of drunk assholes in there too. I don't know.
Yeah, it was not very well organized on their end, which just made it more difficult on our end.
It sounded like the person we were interacting with over email was not really in sync with the hotel
was not.
itself.
Absolutely not.
Like there was some type of business coordinator that was assigned
Well, there was
to
also
us.
a business coordinator at the beginning that ended up getting switched over halfway through.
That's right. And I think we liked the first person a lot more.
we signed on because of Kevin. I think that was his name. And they're like, "Oh, Kevin's not here anymore, but we'll be helping you." It was a shit show. That was a mess. The venue, we were between 3. I got prices for 3. Like I said, I knew I wanted to get married on the Chesapeake Bay. And so I looked at venues there, like just all up and down the bay. I got prices for 3 before we went down and looked. One was just astronomical. I was like, there's no way. With the size of wedding we want.
I don't know. I feel like from the websites, you had your eyes set on one that was a lot more expensive than where we ended up. You didn't like our venue as much on paper until we walked it.
That is absolutely true. Our venue that we ended up going with, when I looked at it, just the pictures, I did not like the setup. So our venue, the middle is like, it's a high ceiling in the middle and there are columns around it, but then the ceiling drops to lower. It's still not a low ceiling. It's just like a regular ceiling around the sides of the room where all the tables are. And from different pictures I had seen, it just looked very small and very cramped. And I was not a fan of that. I was like, I don't like this. I don't like how it looks. And it was just the angles the pictures were taken from. However, on paper, I did not like our venue at all.
I don't think pictures really do it justice.
It
I really
doesn't.
think that they should have a drone fly through. I think that would help like capture the ambiance of the whole venue.
Yeah.
Because it's like hard to tell from like a flat picture how it really looks. But like once you actually walk into the ballroom and see how large it is and how many tables they can fit in when it's still having the huge dance floor and all the columns and everything, like it's a lot more beautiful in person.
It is. It absolutely is. And I think it was either Chris or my mom that were like, well, let's go check it out anyway.
It was probably me.
I think you said that you
like,
still liked it. You were like, oh, I think it's kind of nice.
I have to admit that I was 100% going to look at that venue based on price, because I was like, if we don't go there, we're gonna have to take out a mortgage to afford a wedding. And because some of the places you were looking at were like, holy, I feel like the one was like double what we paid.
Yeah, the one that I thought was the most beautiful and I really wanted to get married at was so expensive. And when they gave me the prices, I was like, oh. But I still kind of wanted to go see it, but I also kind of didn't. And later on, after we chose our venue and everything, I heard from my aunt who had been to a wedding down there that they have multiple weddings in a day. And literally while the vows are going on from one, you can hear the party of the other, like the reception. And she's like, it's not very well separated. But we went and looked at our venue. And it gave me a better feel for it. I was more okay with it after that. I can't say I fell in love with it right then and there, but I felt I liked it a lot more than I did in the pictures. It gave me a much better feel than it did in the pictures. And then we went to another one that was run instead. So the venue we chose was family owned and run. Sorry, I'm just bitch slapping this microphone. But then the other one that we went to was owned by like a corporation that owned like a dozen or so different venues along the Chesapeake Bay and everything. Yeah. And like they made the food a day or two in advance and just like shipped it in.
Well, it was like made in New York. They like make the food somewhere completely different and then they ship it in via truck.
Yeah, bring it in and then they just heat it up on sternos. And we did go to look at it in the winter or like spring when it was super cold and windy. However, because we were looking at outside, there was going to be an outdoor
is this a tent place?
Yeah, there was an outdoor reception area for a larger wedding, and it would have been in a tent outside, which, I mean, knowing how the day turned out, I'm like, thank God we didn't go with that because it rained.
Yeah, but the tent was just so noisy.
It was noisy. It was cold. They're like, oh, yeah, we closed it all up and put heaters in. It's like,
I don't know if you would have heard the tent noises over the DJ and stuff, but they were quite loud when we were in there.
well, additionally, I think because we were supposed to be married outside, I think if we got married inside, we would have had to get married inside the tent.
Yeah.
So
that you would have probably been a little disappointed with that.
well, that's another reason why we went with the venue we did, is because like we did Kurtz's Beach. It's Kurtz's Beach in Pasadena. They have 2 different rooms. They have the Rivers Chase room, and then they had the ballroom. And you could book out the Rivers Chase room. You could book out the ballroom with the gazebo outside, or you could book the full venue. And we were torn. We're like, do we not? And we decided to book the whole venue in case we needed the Rivers Chase room for a rain option. That was our rain option. Otherwise, we would have had to get married in the ballroom.
Yeah.
And I'm very glad that we did, because if we didn't book out the whole venue, there was no guarantee that there wouldn't have been something else going on in the Rivers Chase room.
Yeah, I don't know if we considered the rain aspect when thinking about the whole venue, but
I did. That was one of my questions.
Do
you have a generator? What's the noise policy? What's your rain backup?
Yeah, but our rain backup would have been in the ballroom if we didn't have the whole thing. But I know
the
big selling point was that there wasn't going to be another event at the same time.
Well, and that's so when we asked what the rain option was, they told us, they said, so you have the option of renting out the Rivers Chase room, so you can use that. We have had a lot of weddings in there. Or if you don't rent out the whole venue, there is the possibility of someone having something else there. If there's nothing there, then you can use that. But if there is something else there, then you have to get married in the ballroom.
Yeah.
Which is why it was like, okay, are we hedging our bets against the weather, or are we just going to play it safe and get the Rivers Chase room?
Yep. And as you know, from what I learned from you, get the insurance policy.
Always.
Am I right or am I right? Alrighty. We are...
What else you got on that list?
Yeah, we're approaching the end of the wedding planning episodes, so I'm just going to go through this list and mention some honorable things if they come up.
If they come up.
Renewing passports, that's probably important.
If you need to, yes.
Writing vows, we did the standard vows.
We did standard vows, which was nice. We have been to weddings where they wrote their own vows, and if you are a very creative couple, if you're very expressive, writing your own vows is phenomenal. We are not those people.
Nope, not at all. Bridal showers. For your bridal shower, you had 2 different locations.
Yeah, I had 2. I had one in my parents' backyard, and then I had one at a restaurant up here, which was very helpful for family members, like the older family members of each who wouldn't be able to travel 2 hours to get to a bridal shower. So that was definitely helpful, and it was really nice.
Applying for a marriage license.
Definitely do that. Make sure it gets signed and everything, and read your state laws, or like for whichever county or archdiocese or wherever you're getting married, because some places you can apply by mail, some places you have to go in person.
One vendor that you didn't mention was hair and makeup. But
ooh, yeah, hair and makeup. We had Swept, which is based in Baltimore. They were very, very good. We did. I had a hair and makeup trial run, and they really take into account what you want. I was looking for a more natural look for all of my brides. I didn't want super duper heavy makeup, rosy cheeks, like excessive. I wanted more of like a natural look, no like dramatic smoky eyes or anything, and they did a phenomenal job.
I thought a funny thing on this list is there's a checkbox for notify newspapers.
That's an old thing. Your cousin did that.
I know, but I don't think that's common anymore.
If you're in the South or if you're from a very prominent family, it is.
Yes, and that was more of a ritzy family.
That was not us. We are
Yeah.
neither of those.
Yeah, seating plans.
Seating chart, again, so shout out to Jake. Honestly, Jake obviously knows our family. He got to know Chris's family. And so when it came to doing a seating arrangement, he looked at everything and he came up with like 2 or 3 different seating charts. And one of the ones he put together was the one we went to. He is magical with that. So shout out to Jake for helping out with that, taking that stress off my plate.
Yeah, and then like other than like smaller things like, you know, the corsages, handing those out, pack for honeymoon. There is a thing that says honeymoon luggage, which
Some people have specific honeymoon luggage.
Yeah, well, you packed so much that we had to split some in my bag.
Listen, here's the thing. We were
Books
gone
weigh a lot.
We were gone for 6 or 7 days, and I took a book for each day. And I'm pretty sure I read one entire book each day.
And you brought enough clothes for like probably a month.
I brought enough clothes to have a different outfit each day. Listen, I don't want you getting bored of me just 1 week into our marriage. Duh.
We already talked about gifts, like handing out gifts to different people. Rehearsal ceremony. We did a small rehearsal, but it was very nonchalant and chill.
It was mostly, this is how you process out, this is how you process in. Deacon Mark sat there or stood there and just listened to all of our readers read, made sure they knew what was going on.
And then tips and thank you cards.
Tips and thank you cards. Thank you cards, okay, so I have a template for thank you cards. It's
this is an important thing to go over. Yeah, this is
something that I had to teach Chris when we were writing thank you notes. So the key to a good thank you card is not starting out with a thank you. The key to a good thank you card is saying something personal. Whether it's, I'm so glad we got to see you at the wedding. Hope so-and-so's ankle's okay after that little spill. You know, so sorry we missed you. Just something personal. Keep it personal. Then after that, go into a thank you. Say thank you so much for your generous gift. I love it. Say something about it. This will go, if it's money, it'll go great towards helping us fix up our house. Or I love the Instapot. Chris and I have just gotten into cooking. I can't wait to see what recipes we can come up with. After that, again, end with something personal. Like, we hope to see you soon. We'll definitely have to come up to visit you guys sometime. You'll have to come hang out at our house. You know, whatever it is. And then sign off. Because it doesn't hit you just with a thank you in the beginning. Because you're like, okay, cool, it's thank you. It's personal and it means a lot more. Thank you notes, I feel like, are kind of going the way of the dinosaur.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like some people just send out a card that literally says thank you on it now.
Yeah,
like,
but it's when you have it written out and it's more personalized, it means more. I have ones on our mantle, and that's a good way to keep in touch and let them know that them being there, them participating in whatever the day is, whether it's a shower, a wedding, a birthday, just being there for you when you had a tough time. Just being more personal will mean more to you and them. That's something when Chris was writing thank you notes to different people, whether it's on his side of the family and the grooms, for the groomsmen, for any gifts that we got, anything like that. And it's not hard to make it more personal, but it means so much more. So that is my tip for writing thank you cards. Yes, get rid of that list. That list was horrible.
We have planned another wedding.
Any other random tips, recommendations?
Ooh, put me on the spot. I don't know. Just enjoy it. It's really hard. The day of your wedding, It goes by very fast. Try and capture as many moments as you can in your head. Definitely try and eat. And if you can convince two of your friends to come over and act like they're talking to you for a while so that you have time to eat your food, that's highly recommended. You're going to feel pretty hungry after your wedding day if you don't get to eat during it. And you're paying a lot of money to host this big party, so you might as well enjoy some of the food.
My recommendations: food, yes. I know my mom took care of us girls really well. She got a Chick-fil-A tray, she got a fruit tray. So if that's something you just put into your planning or something, or just tell one of the parents or one of the groomsmen, be like, hey, listen, here's money for Chick-fil-A or for subs or whatever. Go get us food so we have food. I know we had the Chick-fil-A tray in the morning, and then myself and all of our bridesmaids, we ordered subs like halfway through getting ready. Because we're like, listen, we're not eating dinner until super late. Like, we need food. Additionally, like Chris said, if you have, you're paying for this party. If you have people who can, come up and pretend to talk to you while you as the bride and groom are sitting there trying to eat, people will come up all the time trying to take pictures of you, talking to you. If you have, and it doesn't even have to be your bridesmaids, just good friends or whoever. I know we've done this at multiple weddings that we aren't even in the wedding for. We were just guests, but we told the couple, we're like, listen, we've been there, we've done that. If you guys need drinks, let us know. You need food, let us know. You want us to just stand here and pretend like we're talking to you so you guys can sit here and eat and we'll just talk to each other. So that way you have time to enjoy with each other. We'll be decoys. That's fine. Definitely try and remember what you can. That's why I love the videographer and photographer. But my biggest recommendation is, it's your day. I don't even want to say do what you want, but do what'll make you the happiest. We did a generation dance where we had all the married couples dancing. Some of my favorite pictures come from that dance. Our photographers, they were just snapping away at all the different married couples. I know my mom and dad had one of their pictures from that was the absolute cutest, and I love it. And same with your grandparents, and do what makes you happy. And if it doesn't make your guests happy that you're not having people there under 21, or if they get mad because you're not serving shots, you're only serving mixed drinks, or you don't want to invite your cousin or your stepmom, or you don't want to have so-and-so in the wedding because it's only going to cause more trouble than it is good and it's going to stress you out, don't do it. It's your day. Okay? And what matters in the end is that you and your partner are going to spend the rest of your lives together. And that's what you need to focus on, and just make sure you and they are happy.
Very well said.
That's what matters.
It does.
It doesn't I promise you, because Chris and I spent majority of the reception apart. He kept trying to go to the bar to get a drink and was getting pulled aside by everyone and their brother. And I was just dancing on the dance floor. I was living my best life because the party was about us. And I knew if I turned around or if I had to go find Chris, I'd find him, and it didn't matter. But he'd be there for me, but his friends, my friends, we're all having a good time. So
yeah,
listen, live your life. Do what makes you happy.
Live your life. Treat yourself.
Treat yourself.
All right. So if you have any recipe or cocktail recommendations, or if you have any cool wedding stories or anything,
wedding stories, any controversial topics you would like us to answer.
Way to cut me off.
Listen, is McDonald the farm? Is McDonald the farmer or the name of the dog?
Or the farm.
It could be. Who knows?
I don't know. But, send any of those things to diariesofAworkingcouple@gmail.com or DM us on Instagram @diariesofAworkingcouple. And yeah, I think this wraps up this episode. So,
Thank you for muscling through those last 2 tough episodes with us. I know it was a lot. But you did it.
Hey, actually, I enjoyed it, and like after the first episode that we recorded, like I was genuinely like, this was so much fun to talk about. So, I don't care if you didn't like it. I liked it.
All right, and that's all that matters,
That's
right?
all that matters. This is what it's all about. All right. Talk to you later.
Bye, guys.